Hello everyone, welcome to Space Talk 3. This is a program to find out the best way to go to Mars, stay there without looking like a burnt roast. Uh, on the end of number 2, uh, we've made the spaceship station and we're nicely on trajectory for Mars. Once this spaceship station gets on trajectory, then it starts to spin to simulate gravity. By the time our people get to Mars, they'll be well fed, well exercised, and healthy. Uh, Elon Musk is going to have them sitting in a chair for that whole time. So do the math. When we hit Mars, we're going to be in good shape. Um, now, once this spaceship station gets into orbit around Mars, um, there's probably going to be some kind of a party. So make sure you're in a good orbit and you have your party. It's human nature's party. So after that party's over with, now what? Well, I think one of the first things you do is you send satellites around the equator. I don't know how many of these you need, but we can bring them with the RMLS. Weight's not a problem. Um, we'll bring satellites that we can launch around the equator. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll get one or two on the poles. I don't know if we'll even be going there right now, but around the equator, they say it gets up to 70 degrees on that equator sometimes. So we can't miss that window. We're going to need that. So I think we're going to be landing on the equator. Um, these satellites will have cameras on them. And if somebody gets into trouble on Mars, uh, they radio the people in the spaceship station, find the nearest satellite, and they drop the pod from the satellite down. The heat shield falls away. This thing with one of these parachutes that are a glider that you can glide, will glide this thing mechanically. They'll watch this from the spaceship station on their monitor, and they'll fly this thing right down to the guy on the ground. It may have a blow up habitat in it, some food, water, heat, to keep them going until we can get our uh, ground people there to save him. Uh, Elon Musk does not have a plan B. If something goes wrong, you're in trouble. So if something goes wrong, we can send a satellite down to them, and no matter where they are, or a drop pod from the satellite down to them. Now, we're looking for a place to live on Mars here at this point. We're going to use the Blue Origin capsules to go down to the surface of Mars and come back. They can do this on Earth 6 times. So on 1/3 gravity on Mars, they can do it 18 times before they have to refuel it. Or so I say we have two of these on the spaceship station. One, both, while you're using one, the other one's prepping and getting ready for launch. Uh, 18 times. You get the geologists, and you can't rely on just the rover. You have to get your own data. Uh, we use the satellites that we got for data. We'll send the Blue Origin rocket down to any potential site. And a potential site should be one on the equator that is very close to a series of caves. Um, yeah, and when you find a spot, you have your geologist say, could there be water there? When there's a high degree of chance of getting water, we're going to go down with a Blue Origin rocket and land probably somewhere in the vicinity of these series of caves. And there'll be a special drone that we're going to send into any caves that we want to check out, because we're not going to go into a cave on another planet. We're not that stupid. We'll send a flying drone in, and it'll drop beacons on the way in, so it can maintain radio contact, fly in, probably stay there for a couple of days, monitoring motion sensors, video camera sound, make sure it's safe in there for our guys to go into. Um, I'm talking about a cave now because there's a lot of radiation, and they say that, not my knowledge, they say that the soil can block out that radiation. So, yeah, we want that as a plan B if our canisters don't stop the radiation. And the way I think that what we should do is when we land a canister um, uh, on Earth, it's the electromagnetic shield that uh, blocks the atmosphere, the radiation from space from frying us. So why can't we make a net? And on each junction of the net, make it put a magnet there, and we'll energize that. That'll create a field, and we can put that over top of the canisters to protect ourselves. If it is indeed electromagnetic stuff that protects us from the radiation, then this should work. Um, Radiation is the big thing we have to get around on Mars. That's why the cave. That's why this electromagnetic shield. Um, the best thing about this whole system that I'm talking about is that there's 48 people going. 24 stay on the spaceship station. 24 go down with Blue Origin rockets to the base station. Now, um, because it's one-third gravity on Mars, the people on the base station are going to start to lose muscle. They're going to revert back to a real skinny person who's sick, really, because they've lost their muscle tone. So what I say is if you can't lift that thing over on the floor over there, you get back in the Blue Origin rocket and you go up and you start running your track in full gravity. Uh, so you rotate from the spaceship station down to the base station, people back and forth. You can keep them strong because if you put a person on Mars, they're gonna, even if he's Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's gonna revert back to a skinny, sickly, weakling guy because his DNA says he's supposed to be strong, and now you're fighting that, right? So uh, this system that I have will keep people physically strong. It, you can lift 3 times more. If you could lift 200 pounds on Earth, you could lift 600 pounds on Mars. Now, you'd lose that. If you didn't go back up to the space station and start running the track and stand lifting weights and staying strong, you would lose that. So, yeah, Elon Musk doesn't have that. He puts you on that planet, that's it. No, no, we revert back and forth to maintain a good physical uh, being on Mars. Now, the only thing we have to really worry about is that radiation, right? So, if we can get into a cave, that's like a double cave. The initial cave here, go through a passageway into another passageway. That'd be perfect for us. We put blow up habitats in the back cave with pressurized units that you could walk through without losing the pressure and the heat or whatever. Uh, on Mars, if we have the foresight to send first before we go, we can send dehumidifiers there. That'll take the water out of the air and have a good supply of water waiting for us when we get there. I'm terrified we're going to run out of water. There'll be something liquid there, but we won't have the skills and the capability of filtering it back into good drinking water. So yeah, the dehumidifier in the cave takes the moisture out of the cave and everything else. It gives you the water, and you build a bigger one out on the planet. Uh, that sounds like a pretty good idea. You send that in advance, so by the time you get there, the reservoir in that system is full of water. You do the same with fuel, yeah, and air. I think you should have 2 or maybe 3 of each there first. I'm a safety guy. I'm not going to send 48 of my men up there and women, and then run out of one of those 3: heat, water. fuel, you know. So yeah, you got to send for. You got to be careful. I don't see any backup in Elon Musk's plan. So I'm fearful of these 100 people. 100 people, food and water and air. They need a lot. That's a staggering figure. He's going to get them there, and they're going to run out of something. You can't have that. You got to have it there in advance. You gotta have a double system. You run into trouble on the base station, you can go up to the space station, or vice versa. You can, if something happens on the space station, you can come down to the base station. You have a backup. Something happens to Elon Musk's rocket, he's there, and they gotta deal with that problem or die. This doesn't make much sense. It's not an intelligent system that's going on here. Um, with Blue Origin will drop those canisters uh, in a circle. The first one will come down. I gotta get out and put a beacon there, a beacon there, a beacon there, and these things will come down and land within 10 feet of that beacon, almost right on top of it, I would think. Blue Origin rocks. They're going to do this. Um, if you make this thing on some type of uh, a slider system, then you can hook up your your winches that you have, your 10-ton winches that you use to pull the space to the station. Each one of these canisters got one of them on. You can hook it to the next one and pull the two together like this, right? Yeah, it'll slide on the ground. It's got skids, right? And you can do this with every one of these and make a circle. But one of these canisters is a nuclear power plant, and it's off a ways. If you're in a cave system, it's 2 caves over, right? Do it the safe way. But if it's not in a cave, you put it so far over that and try to bury this thing as best you can. I know it's 100 feet by 50, but I mean, you got to put it behind some rocks. You got to protect yourself. So it's got to be, you got to bring enough cable to connect the settlement with the nuclear power plant. We'll get all our power that way. I don't believe there's any way that solar panels are going to work. Wind generators, the wind is too strong up there for them. Um, so yeah, for the first time, we need to bring water and we need to bring a nuclear reactor. So that's pretty well it in a nutshell. But I want to talk about some of the devices we're going to have up there, and one of them is it's going to look. Do you remember the old Lost in Space program where they had the chariot? It's going to look something like that, except that out of steel, it's going to be made of carbon fiber. It's very light. But this thing's going to be total glass all the way around. This is going to be our foul weather vehicle. And it's going to be pulling a trailer. And the trailer is going to have a drive track on it too. So that when it turns, it cocks in the middle. You know, it goes like this and turns. I've seen these things on Earth. They go right through rivers, in and out of the river. They float. Nothing stops these things. So this is going to be our foul weather vehicle on Mars. And in that trailer is going to be a miniature nuclear power plant that's going to power for the rover, or if one of the habitats needs, because the nuclear power station goes down there, you always need a backup. You could back this trailer up, plug it in, and it'll give power to the unit, right? You might lose your chariot for going around, but you're going to save your life. I mean, you got to have backups, backup after backup after backup when you go there. Now, this chariot's going to have a drone that comes out the top and flies right, probably right above the chariot, but really high with cameras on it, checking all around. And when that one runs out of power, it comes back down right inside the thing, and another one takes off. I wouldn't drive anywhere unless I had one of these things above me. Um, on Earth, we have some. We're pretty smart guys here on this. I could never build this, but somebody's built this thing. It's about, oh, I don't know, 3 feet wide, and it just looks like a like a plate. He stands on it, and he flies this thing around the harbor with jet skis following him, and that's on Earth with full gravity, right? So I think that takes you to build something like that flies right out of the habitats. These habitats are 5 stories high. Yeah, you go out on your balcony, you stand on this thing, and you fly it out to wherever you need to go. They'll all be rated. Everybody on that thing will be rated. If you can do it in gravity on Earth, we can train people to do it on Mars. That'll be like a short because you want to stay off the ground as much as you can. The radiation radiates off the ground. So yeah, this thing is going to be good because even this, even if the spaceship station or something has, say, the Blue Origin rocket has a problem, he comes down into the atmosphere of Mars and starts to hover there. All of a sudden, 5 or 6 guys on these round discs come flying out, fix a minor problem, fly back in and take off. This thing probably won't even have to hit the ground. The spaceship, I mean, the Blue Origin rocket won't even have to hit the ground. More than that, more than a work apparatus to help you do work. It can be like if you have to bail out, you have a parachute on your back and you have this thing on your feet, and you throw a pilot chute out, and that straightens you out, and then this thing comes on and you hover, you eject the pilot chute, you still got a parachute on, and you can fly down to Earth, or if this thing's going to be powerful enough on 1/3 gravity, you might be able to take 2 people on this, save somebody's life, and put them to the ground. Uh, Everything I'm saying here is just a very start of an idea. People, the scientists and stuff, they're going to get a hold of these ideas and say, can he do it or can't he? And when they start figuring out that I can do it, but we got to do it a little different, maybe this way, they're going to jump on this. Guaranteed they're going to jump on this. So the next vehicle that I think that we should have up there, it looks like a skidoo. You know how you get on a skidoo and you sit there and you drive with your handlebars like this? But instead of a track going underneath it, you're going to have 4 propellers, one at each corner, right? Uh, this thing is going to fly just like the kids' toys in your living room. There's an overlaying program in that keeps it level and everything, and you just sort of guide it around. Well, this thing's going to be the same way. You won't be able to turn it upside down. You won't be able to do anything stupid with it. Anybody should be able to fly this thing. Anybody. I don't really care how they power this thing, even if they have to make a miniature nuclear power plant or a battery system or something. I don't care how they do this, but we need this because this is going to be. Um, we're going to go check out Mars with this thing, and just say he's got somebody stuck on the other side over there, and he needs to bring one of these units with him over to there. So computer controlled, he can pull. He's driving the first one. The second one will follow right behind the first one, and he can bring 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter. If he's got a whole pile of stuff to come back, he brings 2, loads that up, and brings it back. If he's got somebody in trouble, he takes one out for him. Uh, this is it's a very safe vehicle, and it should go very fast because there's 4 propellers. They just tip forward like an airplane, right? Now you're in your spacesuit when you operate this thing, and you can plug into the air and the power on the machine. So if you have to land and get off and go for a walk, you start out with a full power supply and a full air supply. Um, Once we get to Mars, I guess what I'm saying here is that we could go to Mars now, but instead of doing it Elon Musk's way, we have to delay a little bit, build the RMLS, which shouldn't take too long. Once the engineers get a hold of the path, they'll overcome the obstacles. Now, I say this: I'm not a scientist. I'm just an idea guy. That's all. But I can tell you that if Elon Musk goes to Mars, uh, uh, people are going to start dying. That's the way I feel about it. Because there's no backup for anything. Anything goes wrong as soon as they leave Earth's orbit to Mars, it could be like it could be a quarter of a million miles out. If something happens there and he's still going to Mars. We can't do anything about it. We don't have another ship to go and get him. He's banking on everything working perfectly. And we all know things don't ever work perfectly. So think about what I said. The spaceship station is a very, very intelligent idea. And I think they should build it, take a cat with them. A cat? He'll sit in the window and he'll monitor forever. And when he sees something, you'll know. You can take him on the skidoo flying thing with you. He'll be strapped to your chest here. You have a bubble around his head, just like you. And he'll be looking at things going by. But when he goes like this and turns right around, you know something's there. He has better eyesight in the dark than you do. Mars doesn't have a whole lot of light, so it makes a lot of sense. People are going to go to Mars and have nothing to love, no babies, no nothing. No, you got to bring something like a pet or something, right? I know it means extra food, extra things, but that's the point of the RMLS, is you can bring as much as you need. Elon Musk cannot. He's he's saying no, we can't bring that. No, we can't bring that. No, we can't bring that. That list is endless. But with my system, all we do is put another canister on it. Well, two, so it balances because this you got to rotate, right? That RMLS, if that spaceship station is going to bring water in the canisters, I think it should be maybe in the center canister, and you stack them one on top of the other, like that. That's a whole pile of water in there, and we should make it like a swimming pool. People, if we're going to bring the water, let them go in there and swim around, skin dive under, in through a lock into the tank, swim around, have some fun, come back. Anything for exercise, right? And you want to check out the inside of that tank for cracks and stuff, so you got to be able to get inside of it to plug up a hole in it or whatever. I don't claim to be smart. I'm not a smart man, but I do. I'm a good idea guy, and I have a feeling that if we don't take this path, we've gone down a wrong path. We're still on rockets. NASA went under for 50 years. 50 years they went under because they couldn't get investors to pay for the rockets for any plan to go to the moon or whatever. But if this RMLS works and this we will make money from that that will sponsor the Mars. There'll be enough money coming from the RMLS, Roy's Magnetic Launch System, to fund the base the resupply mission to Mars, because that resupply mission is you can't once you start going to Mars, you can't stop the supply missions. If you do, you got to bring everybody back, and no investor wants to go to Mars on rockets forever, forever, uh, paying for that, and there's not doesn't seem to be much return. That's why Elon Musk is having a problem getting money together for this because even the investors are anticipating this isn't going to go well. Don't get me wrong. I want Elon Musk to succeed. I want him to have all the accolades that he deserves. I like the man. It takes bravery to do this, and he's a very brave man. So I want to leave it at that for Space Talk number 3. If you have any good ideas at all, put them in the comment. All we're going to continue doing this, and when people give me good comments and good ideas, right? Um, we'll run with it. We'll put it on, and we'll just go with, and eventually we will end up with the best way to go to Mars. I'm not saying my way is the best way, but this is the start of the best way, and I'm sure hope that all my space talk people are going to get involved with this and try to. This is for laymen. This is not for scientists. Let them do their thing. But they've been telling us for years that a layman like me can't understand space. You know, that's all logic. Logic is the same on Earth as it is anywhere else. 2 and 2 is 4 on Earth and the same on Mars. 2 and 2 is 4 there. So what part of this do I not understand? If I'm wrong, tell me. If I've got a good idea, tell me. If you've got a good idea, and say instead of doing this, Roy, do this. Hey, yeah, okay, this is to find out the best way to Mars. So I just want to say thanks for tuning in and appeasing this old man. I've had this thought in my mind for a lot of years. I'm very happy to get it out. And okay, I think that's about it for number 3. Uh, we may to do something else to talk about space in the near future, but for now, that's going to be good enough. I want everybody to stay strong, to be kind, because if you're weak and frail and you're sick in bed, you can't help nobody. Stay strong, to be kind, and please stand by. Thanks, everyone. May God bless.